Hello my dear brothers and sisters. This is the Earth Human AS speaking. I'm the channeler of these messages, but this week I wanted to write a non-channeled message. Next week there will be a channeled message again. I think a source of suffering in some people is the belief that most other spiritual people are doing relatively well. And also, that peace of mind and happiness are relatively quick to achieve for many other spiritual people. If you believe this, but you yourself aren't doing well and can't seem to reach peace of mind and happiness, then it's easy to feel that you are just broken somehow. Or that you just somehow can't seem to figure out what everyone else is succeeding at, and there must be something wrong with you. I think the reality is that the majority of people aren't doing particularly well at present, and usually aren't at a place of peace of mind and happiness. It's just that people aren't talking about that, while they are sharing their peak moments. It's the Facebook effect where people feel bad about themselves because everyone is mostly just sharing their peak moments, and are mostly quiet about their struggles. So, today I would like to communicate to you, most people are struggling, so probably there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that life on Earth is incredibly harsh, and healing and spiritual growth are long paths that take many years. If you haven't managed to become happy after a certain number of years, well certainly it's good to continue your practices, but also, it's good to realize that you're not alone. There are many other people out there who have also spent years trying to heal and progress, and they too haven't necessarily reached happiness or peace. In fact, you've undoubtedly made more progress than some of them. What's also not helping is that it's easy to think that the group of channelers, spiritual writers, teachers, facilitators have amazing and blissful lives. Because after all, they have abilities and peak experiences and perhaps lifestyles that many people would like to have. What's a bit toxic is that this group of professional spiritualists often aren't open about their own struggles, because that could cost them part of their audience and income. They might say that they used to have an issue, but they'll insist that it's since been resolved. They'll often only talk about issues and imperfections of theirs that are in the past, and never mention present-day issues that they're struggling with. Of course, this doesn't apply to all professional spiritualists, but in my experience it applies to a lot of them. So it's easy to think that this group has these amazing and bliss-filled and near-perfect lives. And that may be true for a few of them, but in a lot of cases they just don't want to talk about their pain and humanness, in order to not lose part of their audience and income. So as a channeler myself, let me do my part to combat that. Let me share some of my own struggles and imperfections, with the goal of illustrating that you're not alone, you're not uniquely flawed, other people have their flaws and issues too. I had a painful childhood, and I haven't fully healed from that. I'm actively working on that, but I'm also still engaging in coping behaviors. Namely, I play more video games than is healthy, and I move my body less often than is healthy. When I'm particularly stressed out, I eat unhealthy food as a coping mechanism. As a result, I'm overweight and have some teeth problems. Sometimes I don't like how I look, or feel ashamed about my weight. When I notice that, I can work with those thoughts and emotions, but regardless they still come up at times. I don't own a home. I don't have a girlfriend. Well, I have a Pleiadian twin flame, but she's not physically here. I don't have much of a social life. I look up to certain people. However, I have a more negative opinion about the average person than is warranted. I know rationally speaking that everyone is an aspect of the divine. I know rationally speaking that most people mean well and do their best, they've just been hurt and been brought up in a toxic society. Still, my default way of looking at average people is a judgmental one. I usually, not always but usually, treat people reasonably well, but inside I look at them in a judgmental way. I have to make an active effort to see the higher perspective. I recognize this is a distortion on my end that's been caused by pain and disappointment in my life. After all, Pleiadians talk with compassion about average Earth humans, but that's not how I feel about them most of the time. I haven't yet been able to fully release that pain and disappointment and therefore that distortion of mine. Though I'm working on it. I don't express love as often as I should. Contact with my family used to be very bad, and has improved lately but is still difficult. I am continuing with my self-healing and observation practices and I'm doing better and better over time. Still, in the past there has been a period of years where I would have preferred being dead. I no longer feel that way, but right now my life just feels okay. Not amazing, just okay. My life does feel incredibly meaningful and satisfying, and there are some beautiful moments. But on the other hand, my average day isn't particularly fun. And it's a huge amount of effort to juggle my day job, channelings, light work to benefit the collective, and self-work. Currently I feel exhausted. There's still old pain coming up. That said, I do feel very blessed that I have certain talents and abilities, and that I'm in telepathic contact with Pleiadians. That's been amazing, and I know a lot of people would love to have that themselves. I know a lot of people are in worse situations than myself and were born in less favorable situations than myself. The economic situation in my country, the Netherlands, is also substantially easier than the economic situation in many other countries and regions. So I'm grateful for all of that. I recognize that I have a lot of blessings. I recognize that some people are in far worse situations, or have far worse problems than myself. I have it better than a whole lot of people. I'm lucky in certain ways. I'm not complaining. Still, in case you were picturing in your mind that I'm feeling at peace all the time, or that I'm experiencing my life as a 10/10 paradise, or that I'm a near-perfect person who has no vices or anything like that, that's just not true. And I know for a fact that a lot of other channelers, teachers, etc. don't have a super desirable life or a peace-filled mind either. Maybe their life is a bit better than average, but some of them are depressed, exhausted, unhappy, struggling with health problems, struggling financially, etc. They often just don't talk about that in public in order to keep up appearances and maintain their income. But if you talk to them privately as another channeler, then they'll readily admit it. So, hopefully this dispels the Facebook effect a bit. And hopefully this illustrates that a whole lot of people are struggling. If you're struggling too, then you are not alone. Absolutely continue doing your personal work. It's a long road, but it does pay off. Still, at the same time, there's no need to judge yourself against an unrealistically high standard. Even just keeping your head above water is hard enough at the moment. If you're looking up to someone, then it's entirely possible that he or she has their own struggles and imperfections too. They might just not be open about them. If you want to, feel free to do your own sharing in the comment section. It can be about anything you want to talk about. With love. A.S.